Hello there. Yes, this is my first video of trying to share what I'm planning to do with respect to doing a John O'Groats to Land's End ride in May 2020. That's my plan, either May or June 2020. I'm thinking of going either the first 2 weeks of June 2020 or the last week of May, the first week of June, around the bank holiday period. So I've been planning this for about at least 6 months, mostly just writing ideas. I've been doing an awful lot of training. So what I've done first is I've listed out like an index of things I wanted to do, which I've been, like I said, doing over the last few months. And the list of ideas I've got, I have a prayer ideas, because it's important I pray. I have a planning index. I have to think about the weather. I have to think about the route. I have to think about what I'm going to be packing. I'm going to think about what I need to buy, what hotels to book and stay, what my budget is, and how to get to the beginning of the ride and the end, and how to get back from the end of the ride. And then I have another area, just anything else that comes to mind while I do that. So in terms of my pair ideas, some of these ideas they've been answered, so I'm not so concerned about them now. So like one of them was how to reach the starting point, and exactly which starting point, because I didn't know where to go from Land's End first, then to John O'Groats, or the other way around. But I'm likely to go from John O'Groats to Land's End, because it's probably not so far to then go home, because I come from London, Croydon. I wanted to know what budget I needed, how I was going to fund it. I had to think about planning for the weather, in particular the need for mud guards. I've got a racing bike which has got very narrow mudguard clearance. What exactly to pack? I really want to pack the absolute minimum, and then exactly what bags I need to put on my bike. Where I was going to stay overnight. The need for waterproof gloves. That's a real problem I've found over the years, getting waterproof gloves that stay dry for as long as possible. I also want to know whether or not I need an extra bar for lights, but I don't think I'm going to need that. Whether I need a handlebar bag or not. Thankfully, just this Christmas just gone, I've been given a small handlebar bag, which I think could be quite suitable. Whether or not to have a light rucksack, but I don't think I'm going to need that, because I don't like to have any weights on my back. And then what mapping apps to have, and how to minimize power on my phone, and how to film the ride. And I've actually now got a Cyclic bike camera light, which I'm really very much looking forward to using. So in terms of waterproof gloves, I've actually bought myself some normal leather gloves, and I've waxed them. I learnt that from YouTube, and I've made myself my own arm warmers from fake leather, and I wax those arm warmers. I've got a rear bag already, so I'm going to try and use that. What I'm going to be planning doing is about April time, I shall load up, this is April 2019, I'm going to load up my bike fully with everything I need, and I'm hoping to do a ride. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but my hope is to be able to ride up to, say, York and back, about 3 or 4 days, and then test out all my kit. I've bought myself some SKS mudguards, which I've got from Planet X. They're on great sale. Really pleased with them. I was thinking about getting the MK3 Crud guards, but the clearance of 4mm was actually bigger than the clearance I've actually got on my bike, so I in the end didn't buy the MK3 Crud guards. I was thinking about what sort of chamois queen to bring, and I might just bring my E45, which is in a small tub. I want to try and bring everything in small tubs as possible. I shall also be bringing some sort of massage cream, maybe just use the E45 to use at night after each ride to really relax my leg muscles as much as possible. I might be bringing some carabiniers to just hold things. I was thinking at the time of maybe buying a small portable camera, but don't think I will do that now. I'm going to probably bring an old spare phone of mine, as well as my existing smartphone, to record extra things on the ride and to take additional photographs. In terms of mounting for my camera, I've I've just for Christmas I've just been given an Edge 520 Garmin, and with that you can get a mounting which also works for my cyclic camera, so I'll be buying that in the next few months. At the time I was wondering whether to buy a cheap belt with a, sort of a strap bag. I've actually bought one. I'm hoping I won't need it because it just adds extra bulk around my waist. At the time I was thinking about whether to buy a rear view mirror. I have actually got a rear view mirror for my wrist, but I don't think I'll buy that. I mean, I've been riding for nearly over 25 years, and you know, I've never needed one before. And I want to think about bringing my multi USB plug, because I'm going to be bringing quite a lot of things which need to be powered up at night. So that's like my prayer list. As you can tell, I'm not writing that down, praying about these things. I'm less concerned about them now because they're slowly being answered, those prayers. And then my key planning was that this is now January 2019. I want to print my plan off, put it onto Google Drive, and like I said, I want to start videoing this so I can share it with others that want to do John O'Groats to Land's End. I said I think I'm trusting that what I'm doing is also from God too, so I want to be as honest as I can on this video. I need to test this plan, which is one of them is to do it in April 2019. And one of the things I really am concerned about is cycling in the rain for long hours. I mean, I've got to start looking at the climate weather for John O'Groats to Land's End around April this year, just to get a sense of what likely temperatures are going to be and the likely level of rain. But from my own experience of cycling in Britain, it's very rare you get a whole day of just chucking it down all day long. So the chances of me getting absolutely soaked are quite limited, I think, particularly my hands. I'm not concerned about my legs or my feet or my body, because all the kit I've got is very, very good in terms of being waterproof. And I've got a section here on the weather. So in May 2018, I looked at the weather in Land's End, and it was anything particularly like 18th of May 2018, for example. It was between 8 and 15 centigrade overall, sometimes 10 to 15 centigrade, and hardly any rain in that period. Beginning of June, it was going to range from 12 to 18 centigrade, mostly dry. One thing I've learnt though is that in long, sustained heavy rain, the temperature can feel about 5 degrees less than it actually is, because the rain gets into your hands, or the coldness, the dampness gets into your body and really makes you very cold. John O'Groats, it was the same kind of temperature range, 10 to 15, with hardly any rain. So as long as I can cover off, my cycling gear gets me down to 8 degrees and up to 15, I've just got to make sure I've got for that. So I've got a particular rain top for this, and I'll be wearing a base layer. So that, and I've got my I bought some special I can't remember what they're called, but special leg warmers which are also waterproof, and they pack up small, so I've got to think about having minimum volume in what I'm carrying. So my next item is the route, and I've finalised that on Strava. I'm planning to doing between 125 to 130 miles a day, so hopefully it'll take me about 8 days. And I won't go into too much detail, but I basically wanted to go the shortest route from John O'Groats to Land's End, missing out all dual carriageways, and those pretty much the main criteria I followed, and also avoiding any particular roads. There is a website which helped you avoid particular A roads on the route, so I've done that. And I think works out to be about 890 miles it is. Having said that though, right now I've got some friends of mine who live in northern Scotland, and I'm quite keen to see them, because they've recently moved there, and so it's very rarely I'm going to be able to see them. So if I went with them to see them, it would add 40 miles, which I'm not quite sure yet if that would effectively add another day or just add another half a day to my route, and also whether it would just how it would affect all my overnight stays, because everything would then be affected by 40 miles basically. So I'd have to stop 40 miles different to what I've already planned. So what I'm planning to do is the first day, this is my current plans, and I'm going to share with you changing plans as they go along. But day one would be John O'Groats to Scannyport, which is 125 miles or so, but there might be an Inverness youth hostel there, and there it's currently £22 for a shared room, and that comes with a towel. In terms of budget, just so you know, I'm trying to go on the lowest budgets possible, but I'm not trying to camp. I've camped before, and the thing about camping is it takes me about an hour to set up the camp, 2 hours to unset it up, so I'm losing 3 hours of time, which could be used to be cycling and using less energy. So I will not be camping to save money, and also adds more weight going by camping with a tent and a sleeping bag and such like. So I won't be doing that. Day two would then be Scannyport to Tarbet, and there's a place called Lochlon Hotel, which is about £54. I couldn't really get much cheaper, but what I did notice is depending on when you go onto Google, the price can come down to maybe like £40 odd or £43. So that would be day two. Then day three would be Tarbet to Gretna. That'll be 378 miles I'll have done in total. There's a bed and breakfast there called the Broadley of Rogbill Country Cottage, and that's quite good at £34. And then day four would be Gretna to Lee, and that'll be just under 500 miles I'll have covered there, with Chat Moss Hotel at £30. Then Lee to Hereford, which is 626 miles in total. And looks like I made a mistake there with the bed and breakfast and the name of it, so I'll have to check that later. Then Hereford to Tiverton, there's a travel lodge there. After that would be 749 miles, and the last day would be Tiverton to Land's End, which is 887 miles. So that works out to be 140 miles the last day, in which case if I was to see my friends for an extra 40 miles, that would actually make it another day that I'll be doing that ride, but it might make things easier, because I noticed that day 7 of Tiverton to Land's End would be a whole day cycling. The current plan is maybe my wife Sarah might meet me there, but that might change, we'll see. But it'd be lovely if she was able to meet me there. So I worked out that the total cost of staying, excluding overnight, excluding arriving at John O'Groats and finishing at Land's End, would be just over £200, so I've been saving that over time from Christmas money and just monthly saving. That's pretty much my planned route at the moment. And then this is what I'm hoping to pack in April 2019. My basic premise was to pack the absolute minimum, but I've got to consider the cold and wet weather. So last year I cycled to Bristol and back, and what I'm basically going to take is that plus more, because I only spent one night away that night, and I was also with my brother, so he lent me some of his clothes when I saw him. But so I didn't need a chain lock when I was with him, so I'd have a chain lock. I'd have some overnight kit. It's important to have a phone charging system and some spare clothes. I'll be bringing my large saddlebag, which is what I used last time. And on my jersey, I'll be having bananas and food. I've got a front top tube bag in which I'll be having caramel bites and some sweets. My purse, my phone charger, and a small spoon for when say I want to buy yogurt. I like eating yogurts when I'm going out cycling. I'm not where I'm with lights. It's quite good now. I've got my camera. I've got my LED flashing lights, and I'll have my cyclic camera light, which is a 6-hour light. The riding I'll be doing though will be when the daylight is long. So I'll be making sure I leave early in the morning, maybe 7 or 8 in the morning, and riding through till maybe 5 or 6 in the evening before the sun sets. So I don't think I've got any concerns about riding in the dark. But if for any, if it does just happen, I will have plenty of lights. But I've got to have a backup just in case. Fog might be an issue. I don't really know. I mean, it can happen in spring, so the lights will help. I've also got a rear top tube bag, and in that I'll probably have my lock. Something I learned from one of my Audax bikes rides was making sure you have quick access to your lock. I had my lock in my rear saddlebag when I did my Audax ride, and it slowed down me stopping and getting the lock out and locking the bike. So this time I'm going to have it in a more accessible place. My rear saddlebag, which is my Paradise bag, which is about 7 or 8 litres in size. It's also waterproof, and it's very good value at £20 when I bought it. It'll have all my overnight stuff. I'm going to have a small toothbrush, small toothpaste, small soap, a small towel, suntan lotion, some socks, oil, small chamois cream, my multi-USB plug-in leads, and perhaps a quick drying towel microfiber. But my wife says they're not that good, so we'll see. I've also had to consider what if I need extra space. So I've got a Z-Fal bottle which takes extra things. I can also have my strap waist bag. I can put that around my waist. I've now actually been given a very small front front handlebar bag, which I think will be very useful if I need that. I've also have a frame bag. The thing with that frame bag is it pushes it makes the area under my frame quite small, particularly when it comes to drink bottles. So if I was to have to use the frame bag, I would have to buy some extra tags so I can bring the water bottles down and use them. Also, I can always use string to tie more stuff to my rear saddlebag, so long as it's in a dry bag. I'm thinking about maybe having to buy a cut pod on the front. Or recently, I've actually, one of my Cycling Plus subscriptions, I got a little pouch bag which I could use that with straps. In my front bag, if I do need it, hopefully I won't, I'm going to have all my wet weather gear. So if it rains, I can bring it all out. So it'll be tights, a base layer to keep me warm, waterproof gloves, waterproof overshoes, and a waterproof helmet cover. I'll also have my video camera at the front, and my spare lights. I've also have a waterproof cover for my phone if I need that. And I need my tool bag, which I'm just going to have my normal small tools and spares and a chain link. An emergency chain link. I was thinking about getting a solar panel, but what I'm gonna do is gonna check all the hotels I stay at if they've got power points. If they have, I'm gonna be absolutely fine. I won't need a solar panel. My phone lasts a long time. My lights last a long time, and I'll have a phone charger pack for 25,000 milliamp hours. It is, so I've got no more concerns about that really. So that's pretty much what I'm hoping to pack. And then things that I was thinking of buying, I was maybe going to buy some Raid Tiger Balm for helping at night, relaxing my muscles. I might buy a ratchet strap, and I might buy some flippers or lightweight foldable shoes. So at night, but we'll think about that. I bought a quick link for my chain. I've already bought the brake blocks. Because my brake blocks are now quite worn out. It's going to be 2 years away. I need to make sure there's plenty of spare patches. I've got my bug guards. I've got my rainproof leg covers. I need to make sure I've got my puncture kit. I've got my wax gloves, and I've got a couple of carabiniers. There's some other things I'm not sure if I'm going to buy or not, like a multi-USB plug. I don't know if I need new tyres. I've already got spare tyres, but there's a particular width I haven't got. So if my tyres run out, wear down before then, I'll be buying new tyres. I need to buy probably some more E45. I'm hoping I don't have to buy a big saddlebag. What else? Some of these stuff I've decided against it, and I've already mentioned them, so I'm not going to mention them at all. Other things I thought of buying, but I've decided against it. I was thinking about getting a better pump, but I just don't see the point. I've got other priorities. I was thinking about maybe buying a new seat post, because I've actually damaged my carbon seat post years ago. But instead, I'm just going to swap it for my other seat post I've got on my other bike, which is aluminium. I've gone against buying solar chargers. What else? Yeah, so that's where I'm in terms of things that I need to buy or I will be buying. Okay, what's next on my list? Yeah, so accommodation. I've basically listed all these websites, and this is what I use to find those accommodations that I mentioned earlier on. So there was hostelworld.com. Google Maps was very helpful. There was independenthostels.co.uk. There's bedandbreakfast.co.uk. There's triphobo.com. There's booking.com. There's tripmondo. There's bedandbreakfastdirectory.co.uk. I actually went to the chain hotels, and they seem to be the cheapest of all. So Travelodge seems to be the best. I actually choose Travelodge for lots of other staying overnight. And watching YouTube, you get a lot of JOGLE cyclists or Ledjog cyclists using Travelodge. There's also Premier, and I've written down Scottish Bothy here just in case, but I'm not sure that's going to come my way. Yeah, so that's where I am with accommodation, how I found my accommodation. In terms of budget, in terms of the biggest cost, it seems to me, biggest chunky cost, one-off cost, is getting up to John O'Groats and coming back from Land's End. That seems to be the most expensive cost. So I've got a friend of mine who I'm hoping to get some advice. He's a train enthusiast. He can help me as to how to get the cheapest tickets. But it's basically you need to get the most advanced. You need to order well in advance. Some of my ideas might be to actually go so far north of England, north of Scotland, and then cycle the rest to John O'Groats. Maybe that might be a bit cheaper. We'll see. Doesn't look like coaches are so accommodating of cyclists either. So I don't know if I want to go by coach. But when I was looking last year, and I'll be looking again this year, it looked to be about, you could get, if you booked well in advance, you could get from where I live in Croydon to John O'Groats for about £50, and then back also from Penzance at the other end. Then I put together a budget. So got those 6 hostels I said earlier on. That was just over £200. And then I had to then put together per day food. So I learned something like Greggs. Greggs is such good value for food. But what I need every day is about 6 bananas and 6 caramel bites. It's probably about £3. I was thinking breakfast could be just like yogurt and fruit for like £2. And for lunch, yogurt, milkshake, maybe £2. Dinner for £7, and then fluid for £3. So I think I made that to be about £17 a day. So for 7 days, that works out to be £120 approximately. So what I worked out was adding about £50 per night there and when I get to John O'Groats, and £50 when I get to Land's End. That's £100 in total. Then there's £213 for the hostels, £120 for food, £50 for the train there, and £50 for the train back, and that comes to £533. Then I've added like a backup budget to make it say £600 in total. So I'm hoping I can get that lower. That's my prayer. So far I've saved about £220, maybe even more. We would hope that I think I should be okay to have saved that up by then. And in terms of getting there, coming back, and the days, what have I said so far? I've said I'd leave home on the Saturday to arrive there at... Oh, this is old planning, but if this is true, I have to swap it round. This is if I left from Land's End, but leave here on the Saturday, arrive at John O'Groats on the Sunday, and start the ride on the Monday. That's the plan. And so it'll be a whole week's then, a week to get to Land's End. Probably, so that'll be Monday to Monday. So probably arrive at Land's End for that the following Monday, and then probably staying overnight and coming home on the Tuesday, or maybe meeting my wife. That's the plan. The nearest railway station I've written to John O'Groats is Thurso or Wick, and the nearest railway station to Land's End is Penzance, and that would take me to Paddington. So I'd probably have to cycle from Paddington to Croydon. And then finally, some of the other things I've learnt. This is when I was really early planning on. You can wild camp if I want to. I've watched it a lot. I probably won't end up doing that, but just in case. It's important to keep stretching. I've learnt from Cycle Touring Pro, the first 3 days will be the toughest. So I've just got to get through the first 3 days, and after that it should be much, much easier. One Good Road has been very helpful particularly on helping with light packing. I've learnt that my carry-more bag will actually take quite a bit, so that's quite good. I'm not sure whether to bring a sewing kit or not. I found that very useful to have a sewing kit on me at times. I'm thinking about maybe not bring any oil, maybe just stop at a shop to buy oil, or put it in a very tiny bottle for when I oil my chain, because to do 890 miles on my bike, it'd be fine. I can do that if it was dry the whole week, but if it rained, then the oil would get washed off, and so I'd have to oil it again. So that's why I definitely need some oil. At the time, I didn't know about what gloves I was going to wear. I was thinking about wearing some plastic blue outers, but changed my mind about that. I've got to think about how many sweaters I wear or bring, or t-shirts as an extra layer should I get cold. I was thinking about what cycling app to use, but I'm not concerned about that now that I've got the Garmin. That's sorted. Yeah, maybe I should be bringing black tape with me, should there be a problem. I've got to be... My leg warmers, I've got to put them on in a particular way, otherwise they keep slipping down. Oh, one of my apps isn't working at the moment. There was an app called Chorus. It stopped working with respect to mapping. It no longer can actually plan my routes on it anymore. So I'm going to be doing that. I want to look for a cafe as well on the way. There's a good cafenetwork.info, which I'll hopefully be using to stop off at cycling cafes. Anyway, I think I'll stop there for now, because this particular... Oh no, there's still a bit more. I'll make sure disabling my apps to minimize power use on my phone. Oh, I want to bring squash with me. And I've actually got a rollable drink holder which squeezes down, so I'm going to be bringing squash with me. I'm going to be putting some Christian songs on my phone so I can listen to them. And at the time I was thinking about whether to use warmshowers.org or couch surfing, but I doubt I will be. And I've also learned that some USB cables are faster than others, so I've got to make sure I bring the fastest USB power cables on me. That's all for now. I hope that's helped some of you. But anyway, even if one person is able to learn from this or none, that's fine, because I'll have a record of this planning for myself. Thank you now. Take care. Bye-bye.